I like to see method. I like to see that it's not you deciding, thinking. It's not your actions. It's your following. Following what? A process that has been predetermined before this trade. If your process has been predetermined, if you have the answer already prepared for every possible scenario the stock can do after you're in it, is there a need for you to think? No. Is there a need for you to guess or feel or analyze? No. You have determined the answers in advance for every possible scenario a stock can do after you've entered. So now it's not thinking that's required or analysis, it's matching. Oh, scenario B just happened? I already have the answer for scenario B. Scenario D happened? Oh, I already have the answer for scenario D. Every scenario, you have the answer in advance. So now it's just, you're a monkey. Match B's with B's, C's with C's, A's with A's, F's with F's, and so forth and so on. You guys follow what I'm saying? That's how you develop as a trader. Does that make sense? You first become a matcher. And do you know what this does? It eliminates the ego. Because what is ego but thought and feeling and believing as if those thoughts and feelings are valid, more valid than reality? Your thought is not reality. Your feeling is not reality. It's a phantom that you created. A thought about a rose is not a rose. You understand? A thought about your girlfriend is not your girlfriend. So when you start to act on thought, you are not acting on reality. When you think a stock is going to reverse, that is not a reversal. But if you act on it, you believe your thought is more important than reality. And this is ego. Ego says, I create reality. I'm more important than what is real. Don't wait for what is real. Act on my thought about what is real. That's ego. And the problem is that your thoughts can't ever become consistent. The very nature of thought is to be inconsistent. So many things can easily influence your thought. I always say this, you can have a bad steak that can affect your feelings and your thoughts. You can have an argument with your wife in the morning. You could just wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning and affect your feelings, your thoughts, your mood. They're so easily influenced. You can't rely on them. And so what must become the replacement of deciding based on thoughts and feelings? A process, a plan, a list. And that's what we do here. We substitute a written down process that becomes the replacement for relying on your thoughts and feelings. So when you have a thought, you say, no, wait a minute. Nope, I'm not listening to you, thought. What does my piece of paper say? Oh, I feel, no, I'm not relying on you feeling. Let me go back to my piece of paper. What does my piece of paper say? And as you deny each thought that pops up, no, not you, it's my list, my piece of paper. As you deny each feeling, no, it's not you feeling, It's what my piece of paper says. You shrink it because your thoughts and feelings need your acquiescence. It needs your agreement. It needs you to give your power to it to stay alive, because it doesn't have power of its own. A thought is powerless without your energy behind it, without you saying yes. So when you start to say no to your thoughts, you start to say no to your feelings, they get smaller, incredible shrinking thoughts and feelings until they become so small and insignificant that they're almost like little fleas. And they no longer sway you. And this is when you start to become a principled man or woman. And every fleeting thought and feeling can't make you change your mind. A person constantly flipping, changing, never still, can never keep his word for more than 2 minutes. Can never do what he set out to do because this influences him to change it. That, now it's this, and all of a sudden it's flipped to that. That's a shifty, shaky, unreliable individual. And that's what thinking and feeling all the times do you when you give in to them. This is the part of trading that is not taught. It's a part through years of losing, years of frustration, and even depression brought me to the question I used to ask myself in the dark, all alone, in the wee hours of the morning, unable to sleep. Why can't you do what you say you're going to do? Why is that? Why is it that inside of a trade, you lose yourself? That the promises you made before the trade disappear? Why? I used to ask myself these things. And these questions led me to this. And the process worked for me when I started to realize that it's me. I'm trying to figure out the market. I gotta figure out me. The market just goes up and down. That's not very complex. I'm the complex one. I'm the one going in 150 different directions every 2 minutes. The market goes in 2 directions. So what's the more complex thing? Which element do I need to get under control? The one that goes in 150 directions inside of 2 minutes, or the one that goes in 2 directions? You know what I mean? It's crazy that most people never reach that point and turn around. They never turn around and look at themselves. But isn't that the story of the prodigal son? The son that leaves the father's house, takes his portion of the family fortune, and leaves at the behest of the father, leaves his brother and leaves his father, goes out into the world to live his own life. Mistake after mistake, squandering the fortune, getting further and further and further away from home. There's a point when the prodigal son is in a pig pen, so hungry that he's got to climb in a pig pen to take the slop that was put out there for the pigs because he's hungry. And in the middle of slopping up this pig's food, something hits him. I don't have to do this. Why don't I go back to my father's house? and he turns around. You see, the whole movement was away from the Father's house, right? And then the moral of the story, well, one of the morals, there's two main morals, but the first moral is that he turned around. And that was the first act of change. Most people never turn around. They never look at themselves. You got to turn around because it's you. It's not the market. You know? And when I turned around and started to look at me, not trying to figure out the market, not trying to get a better technique or a better tactic or a better indicator, a better me is what I needed. You follow what I'm saying? And that began my journey back. I realized I got caught up into all of these stupid, so-called sophisticated things, weird stuff. I got into astronomy, astrology. I won't even mention the guy's name. Got me into that. I got into astrology. Do you understand? Tracking the alignment of various stars to predict the market. I was far away from home. Home being truth. Right. And I turned around. Went back home. Over time, and back to the truth. And this is what we have to do. But you got to lose yourself. That is what the experience does. You got to lose yourself to gain yourself. You gotta lose your life to gain your life. You've got to be the prodigal son that loses the fortune, squanders it, but you've got to come back. You see, in the second and most important moral of that story is that when the prodigal son came back, when the father spotted the son in the distance coming back, he yelled to the other son, "Prepare a feast." My son is coming back. And as the son entered, the father embraces him, takes the robe off of him and puts the robe, his robe, on the prodigal son, sits him in his chair, and gives him his ring as a statement of honor. And the other son is looking in bewilderment like, what the fuck? That I never left you, and he gets the honor? What's the moral of that? That without the experience of leaving home and coming back, you haven't begun. You haven't achieved anything. That you have to gain experience. That the reward is after experience and it's after loss. Squandered his fortune, but came back and got the reward. And that's the way everything works in life. You suck in the beginning. You're supposed to suck. You're supposed to lose. You're supposed to be terrible. You're supposed to fall before you learn how to walk. It's supposed to be that way. You're supposed to squander your fortune. You're supposed to mess it up. That's where the experience comes from. You first learn everything not to do to discover what to do. It's not the other way around. You know? And that's your process of growth. Once you start realizing that it's you, you've begun the journey back. But when you arrive back, you are not the same person you left. And that's the key. The other brother stayed the same. The one who left and came back superior. And that's the process of growth. That's the process, that's your process as a trader. Some traders say, well, Oliver, I don't understand, man. I know more, I'm smarter than I used to be as a trader. I'm getting smarter every day, but my account says I'm getting dumber. I am losing more than I lost when I didn't know anything. What the heck? It's got to happen that way. It's supposed to happen that way. Squandering the fortune, the knowledge, to gain the experience. But if you make it all the way back, you get the robe and the ring. So my question to you is, are you ready to get the robe and the ring? Are you ready? All right, let's do this. Sorry for the long sermon, but sometimes that's necessary.